If it's a desert, where there's a desert, there's no water. Where there's no water, there's no food. Where there's no food, there's no people. Where there's no people, there's no towns. Where there's no towns, there's no cities. Where there's no cities, there's no civilization. Where there's no civilization, there is no history. How long did it take me to say that?
Muslims and history keep colliding, especially when it comes to Mecca. For Islam, Mecca is the sacred origin, the birthplace of Muhammad, the center of pilgrimage, and a city sustained by the miraculous Zamzam well. But there's a problem. History doesn't seem to agree. If Mecca was truly central to ancient trade and civilization, why is it missing from all historical records before Islam? And if the Zamzam well was truly inexhaustible, why do modern pipes, desalination, and international exports now sustain it? In this video, we're going to test the Islamic narrative against hard evidence. Is Mecca's story fact or faith alone?
All I had to do is say that one time from the ladder. Anytime they came up to discuss about Mecca, I said, hold on a minute, there's no water. No water, no food, no food, no people, no towns, no towns, no cities, no history. You've got to have water. In order for anybody to exist, you've got to have water. Am I correct? Absolutely. And if there's no water, just like Mars, there's no point in ever going there. Now, the comeback is, Mr. Smith, you don't know what you're talking about. The Zamzam well is there. How many people know what I'm talking about? Emil, you know what I'm talking about. What's the Zamzam well? Tell the people what the Zamzam well is. Oh, you call it a myth?
Yes.
Oh, it's not a myth to them. It's a myth to you, though, right? Why is it a myth to you? So, let's go to the Zamzam well. Did you hear what Emil said? It is a well, which is true, and there's a myth that it has always existed, right? It gets even better than that. Did you get that? It's an inexhaustible well. It has always existed. It never runs out of water. Okay? That's what he knows. Now, this is modern day. That was just 3 years ago. He's a convert to Islam. He used to be a Christian. Convert to Islam, well educated, and he's making that claim. It is inexhaustible. Doesn't matter how much water you take from it, it always is resupplied by God himself. All right? Are you picking that up? This is a Western educated man saying this. So it's not just anybody. That's why I put him up there. Because everybody knows David Chappelle if you're in America. He's one of the best comics out there. He's brilliant. Great guy. One of the best I know. And yet, as a convert to Islam, he's even tied into this. Isn't that fascinating? So let's go and see what they do say. What the Muslims claim about this well. In the comment section, when I put this up there and I talked about it, Muslims commented, they said that it was very clear that the Zamzam well refuted any notion that Mecca had no water. This was the only comeback. They said, Mr. Smith, you don't know what you're talking about. The Zamzam well has always been there, and it's inexhaustible. It supplies water for all Muslims today. Others said that it came from the time of Adam and Eve. Some said it came from the time of Abraham. According to the current narrative, Hagar, not Sarah, his wife, after searching for water, found it and said, stop. So she is in Mecca with Abraham. Abraham rebuilds the Kaaba, according to Islamic tradition. This is not me saying that. This is what Muslims tell me. And when Abraham threw Hagar out of Mecca, she was thrown out into the desert, right? She ran out of water. You have to have water. That's in order to survive. So she left Ishmael where he was, and she went running to one mountain called Safa to look for water, couldn't find it. Ran to another mountain called Marwa, couldn't find any water. So she ran back and forth 7 times between these 2 mountains. When finally, after 7 times not finding any water, she comes back to where Ishmael is sitting, and there's this water burbling out of the ground. And there was so much, she said, Zamzam, Zamzam, which means stop. That's what he said in the film. Stop. That's enough. Not too much water. And that's where the Zamzam well is, where Hagar is. So, obviously, that's right where the Kaaba is. Furthermore, it's the world's cleanest and purest water, they said. It can accommodate every pilgrim who comes to Mecca and the rest of the Muslim world who would like to drink it. Thus, it is bottled and used by millions around the world. I wanted to make sure that these guys who were commenting were really right, so I wanted to go and see what the official line was from Saudi Arabia itself, from Mecca itself. So I went to the Nada Hamid, who writes for Mecca. He is the official biographer for that whole part of the world. And this is what he says in his Arab News in 2020. He said, it sprang up 5,000 years ago when Hagar went looking for water for Ishmael. She ran between Safa and Marwa mountains 7 times before finding Zamzam, which means stop flowing, or stop. Water from the well has no impurities, with minerals and heavy a taste. Pilgrims buy it, and it is shipped all over the world for its healing properties. It costs $187 million to modernize the well to accommodate the pilgrims. Its source is rainfall going to the Wadi Ibrahim and then to the underground aquifers. 350 million liters of water is pumped from Zamzam during Ramadan, 11 million liters a day. 11 million liters a day. During the Hajj, 314 million liters of water is pumped from Zamzam. That's 52 million liters a day. It never runs out and will remain eternally running. Allah himself will supply it for eternity. Because of Allah, the water is always there. All right? Are you getting that? That's what the official line is. So what do we know about the well? Well, not very much. There's a picture of it from the 1800s. What does it look like, you? Oh, about 30 feet wide, right? 30 feet wide. How deep? Oh, it's about 50 meters deep. There's the water at the very bottom. Can you just barely see it? Just a little bit of a pond. All right? In 1953, they put that structure over it, and they would draw out the water by a bucket, 1 bucket at a time. Well, there were not 2 million people needing it every day, so at that time, it was just, they could easily accommodate it, I guess. In 1953, a building was constructed over the wall. In 1963, they finally put it underground. They constructed, began to put the well underground, so that today, when you go there, all you see is that circle. But there's the Kaaba, there's the well. How many feet, how many meters? 30 meters, right? From the well. I'm showing you that purposely because that's very important. And the old structure is in a museum off to the side, and there you can see the old structure for the well. Now, here's my question. Here's a niggling problem. In 1963, when they moved the well underground, they dug it deeper to 31 meters. Now it's 31 meters today. Yet it is now situated only 21 meters from the Kaaba. Doesn't the well commemorate Hagar searching and then finding water in the desert for Ishmael in 1900 BC? Hold on a minute. So there's the Kaaba. Mecca, the city, is all around it. Abraham lives in Mecca. He's having a problem with Hagar. He throws her out of Mecca, right? Out into the desert. She's out in the desert looking for water, right? Why is she looking for water if it's only 30 meters from the Kaaba? She could just go on to the next door and just knock on the door and say, "Can I have some water, please?" Do you see a problem here, folks? Even the story makes no sense. So obviously, this is not a story that's historical. This is a story to commemorate and nothing more than a facsimile of something that is historical. Am I correct? These are nothing more than facsimiles. You'll see that later on when we get to the Hajj. If Abraham lived next to the Kaaba, then why was Hagar only 21 meters away if she had been cast in the desert? She should be miles away. That's why she couldn't find water. There was no water anywhere near. So, obviously, this is not the real Kaaba. I'm sorry, this is not the real Zamzam. So, does the well supply all the water needs for Mecca? Well, let's ask that question. Mecca has 2 million people who live there today. That doubles whenever the Hajj comes to 4 million during the Hajj. Mecca needs 1,400 liters a second for its own population. That's equivalent to 51 Olympic-sized pools every day. That's how much water is needed just to supply the people that live there. 51 Olympic-sized pools every day. Yet the Zamzam well only supplies 19 liters a second. And that's only after it rains. So where do they get all the water for the 2 million Meccans, plus the 2 million pilgrims, plus the millions of Muslims who buy and drink it around the world? You can go to any shop, even here in Poland, any Muslim shop, and you can find Zamzam well on every shelf. You go to any shop, I encourage you to go home and go into your first Muslim shop, and you'll see Zamzam well there. And take it, buy it, and taste it. It's always sweet. It's a sweetened water. It's a nectar, because it is holy water that comes from this well, the Zamzam well. Over 1 billion people drink it every year. All from this little well that's only 30 feet across. So how is it that Allah supplies this water for 2 billion people when you start to add it all up? Where does the Zamzam water come from? Folks, you just need to Google it. That's all I had to do. Everything I'm going to show you comes right off of Google. The Saudi Arabian government tells us where it comes from. You want to know where it comes from? Here we go. In the 1950s, the well wasn't very deep and there was very little water, as its entrance was only 30 feet across. So today, they had to cap it and they had to dig it deeper, and then they put a cap over it. There you can see, they give you pictures. They're not trying to hide this at all. I didn't have to scour or go undercover to find these pictures. That's the picture of the top of the well. But notice there's all kinds of contraptions on top of it, right? Do you see pipes coming in and pipes going out? They even show you what's inside the well. Take a look. There's pipes inside the well, going in and coming out again. Folks, they're not hiding this. It's right there for everybody to see. It seems these pipes bring the water to the well, from where it is then pumped back out to the various locations in the Masjid al-Haram and onto the bottling plants outside of Mecca. But from where does this water originate? Obviously, it's not from the well itself. It basically just wanted to go in and out so they can say it comes from the Zamzam well. All right? You see what's going on? They're pumping millions of water into and out, in and out, in and out. That's why they had to cement it. That's why they had to put cap over it. That's why they have the pipes going into it and pipes coming out of it, so it could be purified. All right? So did it come from Allah? Is Allah doing that? No, that's what's doing it. These are desalination plants. There are 27 of these huge desalination plants on the Red Sea. Take a look at them. Everywhere you see a blue dot, that is a desalination plant. Note how most of them are on the Red Sea. Most of them, many of them serving Mecca. What's more, the world's largest water storage unit is just outside of Mecca. They're still building them. These are not for oil, folks. That is for water. That is for Zamzam water. The world's largest holding tanks. And who built them? All of these desalination plants are built by Acciona of Canada and Spain, Bechtel Corporation, Virginia, USA, and Black & Veatch out of Kansas City, United States. Thus, the Zamzam water is American, Spanish, and Canadian made and has nothing to do with Mecca's Zamzam well. The bottling plants were water going worldwide, and the Saudi Arabian governments are laughing all the way to the bank. It has nothing to do with Allah. It has everything to do with America and Spain. Thank you. Isn't that great? Now, I put this up on the YouTube, and boy, did I get it in the neck. They're not going to let me into Saudi Arabia anymore, because you can see they don't want the world to know. But folks, they Google this. I didn't have to go far to find it. Well, let's continue on. Problem number one. Where did the water for Mecca come from after the 8th century, after it was finally established? There had to have been water there. If there's no water there, they had to go get it. And folks, you can Google this as well. Just Google it and find out. You need to go, and what they do, and they say that Queen Zubeida's aqueduct is where it came from. Queen Zubeida from Iraq, between 762 and 831. She was the wife of Al-Harun al-Rashid from 799, known for her serious and dedicated intelligence. She came to Mecca and realized that there was no water there. They needed water. Obviously, they didn't have this view that Allah supplied water for them. So she therefore created and built this aqueduct. It's still there today. You can still see it. There's the ruins of it right there. Between 791 and 801, so the late 8th century and the early 9th century. The Numan Qanat went from the wadi called Numan to the Al-Azia neighborhood. It was 38 kilometers or 23 miles long, supplying 600 to 800 cubic meters of water a day. There were many renovations in 1952 by Jafar. I'm not going to give the names because Emil is there screwing his face up the way I pronounce it in my Arabic. I'm sorry, Emil. In 1236, you have Emir Shuban, who renovated again. And that was also renovated in the 1300s, also the 1400s, the 1500s, also the 1500s, continued on right up into the 1800s. And then, of course, in 1926, King Abdulaziz commissioned desalination plants. They didn't need the aqueduct anymore because they started desalinizing it in 1926. So here's the problem number two. There's an article online which showed the graph of percentage of desalinated water that was consumed by each day in Saudi Arabia in 2020. So it's just 4 years old. And it looked like the majority of water was from the groundwater, not desalination. And I said, that's curious. What is that 98% doing up there? Yet the green line's it looks like only about 5%. Well, that's because whoever did the magazine that put this up completely made an error. What they should have done is this. This is what they should have done. They shouldn't have had those green lines. Whoever put it together didn't know what he was talking about. Because what it looks like 98% of all of the water that goes to Mecca comes from the desalination plant. For Medina, it's 95%. Almost all the water comes from the Red Sea. None of it comes from the Zamzam well, or 5% of it, if it all comes from the Zamzam well in other sources. So, where is this water stored? Well, again, it's all right up there on Google. All I had to do was Google it. Here is the modern Google map of Mecca today. The Masjid al-Haram, there you see I've just circled it. Al-Safa and Marwa are there as well. The Mina tent city is where 2 million people come. They all need to be watered. And then the 3 Jamrats, where they just throw the stones for the pilgrim, is there. There's Mount Arafat way down to the southeast. With 4 million people doing the Hajj, where is the water stored to accommodate all of them? Right up at the top, right on the buildings. There they are, the Muna Bulk Reservoir with 7 large storage tanks. They store 1 million cubic feet of water, not from the Zamzam well, it's all up in the storage tanks. Where did the Muna storage tanks water come from? From Jeddah, from 11 Brimam Reservoir, designed and built by the Atkins team from Vinci Construction, United Kingdom. Not from Arabia, not from God, from the UK, thanks to the British. So where did the water of Mecca come from subsequent to the 8th century?
What we've explored in this video isn't just historical nitpicking. It's a fundamental challenge to the Islamic foundation. Dr. J. Smith's investigation reveals something shocking. Mecca, as described in the Quran, simply doesn't appear in ancient geography, trade records, or archaeological findings. This isn't a matter of religious bias. It's a matter of documented history. Muslims believe Mecca has existed eternally with a miraculous well, Zamzam, that never runs dry. Yet today, the well is sustained by modern engineering, Canadian bottling, Spanish infrastructure, and Saudi pipelines. If the miracle needs maintenance, was it ever a miracle? This video doesn't demand blind belief. It calls for curiosity. We encourage Muslims, skeptics, and seekers to look deeper, not to attack, but to investigate. Because if your faith is true, truth should only confirm it. And if it's not, you deserve to know. History matters. And today, we ask, was Mecca ever real? Or just remembered?